30 seconds.
All right, all right. We actually were on the timer tonight.
Look at you
Shit.
coming in right at 0.
I
Impressive.
know. And we got the box score up. Got a couple in the chat here. Hopefully Reddit will put up the thing in a minute and I can put the Auburn MVP in the Reddit. We're live on YouTube right now. If you're in the chat, let us know who you think the MVP should be. I think it's an easy one tonight.
OG's back in action on the pod.
Everybody's gotten too used to Ben. They
Everybody's
forgot
gonna
who
miss Ben.
started it.
Everybody's gonna miss Ben tonight.
Yeah.
Bummer, you're stuck with me and my Jalen Williams curmudgeon defenses. So after listening to you guys the last few.
Oh man, the ESPN people were going nuts about Jalen to start. I really feel like it was a classic, like they didn't watch the game before they saw that
They're
the
not
box
talking
score.
about the game before, Jackson. They're talking about the last month.
I mean, he's been fine.
He's the second leading scorer on the team. I mean,
Pocket Watch joining live from the arena. Tucker Robinson, nice win, gents. Have a great night. Thank you, you too. Another late tip in Auburn.
thank goodness for Central Time. I tell you,
Even later on the East Coast here.
rough for the East Coast boys. Y'all pray for. Of course, New York boys don't sleep, so
We start work later for sure.
let me know when you want to start recording pod audio.
All right, all right. I think we're about ready. You gonna record over there?
Yeah,
Cool, cool. 1x20. What's their mascot? The Quakers?
the Quakers. Did they say? I think I caught them on the telecast say that Ira Bowman played there.
Oh, interesting.
Let me check that real.
Can't get them on the pod, but we can look up his alumni there.
He was an assistant for 6 years at Penn.
Oh wow. Where's
And
it? It's in Pennsylvania, right? I mean, that's what Penn is, but
and
where's
he
it?
did. He went to Providence and Penn.
Wow. Both Ryan and Ben are in the chat saying they're ready to go to bed. All right, well, I guess I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Give me a second. All right. I might have to. Yeah. Give me the
Cool.
permission. Sweet.
Loud.
Up my sound too, real quick.
Tony Barnhard, Ben, Ryan, Pocket Watch. Where's Canoe Man at?
Pocket Watch. Pocket Watch is our guy, man.
Canoe Man is a ACSC guy, but I don't know who it is. I told him to reach out on Instagram,
You
but
don't
they
know who it
didn't
is?
do
I
it.
don't know who it is either. I don't know. All right. 3, 2.
All right, guys. We ended the at a conference college basketball schedule here with an emphatic win, a 20-point win over the Penn Quakers, the Ivy League white boys. Man, another year, another undefeated at a conference at home. A lot of fun. We're here with the OG Auburn basketball podcast, Matt Donaldson and Jackson Garrett on the pod here. Welcome back, Matt.
Good to be back. I know everybody's going to miss Ben tonight, but we're going to do our best to fill in for Ben, and excited to talk. You know, it's a fun time as we get into SEC play to see what this team's doing. You guys have been talking about, are we having fun? I think we're having fun with this group.
Oh yeah. It's nice, I think don't take it for granted the last pod. I mean, these kind of merged together a bit these last two, but don't take it for granted that we've stayed undefeated at home in the jungle, which part of that's the fans. Great job showing up tonight. Ryan was saying it was a little lackadaisical early on. I don't think the students are back here or anything, but the student section was still full. And at times when the energy got weird early in the second half, the fans were getting into it and getting people back into it, along with KD, of course. KD can sense when we're having a weird streak. But we came out hot against Penn, kept it hot the whole first half. We scored 51 points in the first half versus their 32. But the second half, we only won by 1 point, 37-36, and that kind of told the tale. We came out kind of lackadaisical, kind of like we did against Baylor in that first game. And luckily, a couple of depth players stepped up and kind of kept Penn from really all the way rallying back. I think they got it. I mean, we were up 20 at halftime, and they rallied all the way back to like an 8 or 9 point game. 10. I think at one point it definitely was below 10 at one point, at least 9, I think. So it did get a little weird, but hey, man, it's been a long at a conference, and I'm cool with the fact we ended it up 20. So
It's like the pod knew I was coming back. We got so many nerdy things. They answered the question for us on ESPN or SEC Network tonight about it was Oklahoma State in 2016 with Simeon Bowers on the team.
Simeon Bowers shout out. I love that.
Last time Auburn lost a home non-conference game. It's the longest streak in the country, whatever the number is. I still think there's some debate about what the actual number is. Doesn't matter. Longest in the country.
Wow.
7th straight years being ranked, which you guys have been caring about more, but we are ranked finally. 7 straight seasons in college basketball, be top 25 out of 360 teams. That may seem like a minor thing. I know I've been kind of not caring about the ranking, but it does matter, like you said, for perception and for building on whatever history we can build with Bruce. So a lot of fun things to talk about.
Here's the biggest perception thing with the top 25. It annoys the mess out of me that if I look up college basketball scores on Google, it will only show you the top 25 scores, any game with the top 25 teams. So we're back in that. And that's what it does matter nationally, perspective wise, that people would type something in, like it's the little micro things that kind of keep a team like Auburn, who's never had much history, but we're in the golden age. It's only going to last so long, guys. 10 years of Bruce right now. And the longer that people are growing up in teenage years, I know I was growing up during Bruce's Tennessee run, and there'll like forever be these memories of Bruce being shirtless in the Tennessee student section and having a great time, and some of those great teams he had there, the Elite Eight run they had there. And I still think of that when I think of Tennessee basketball, is that Bruce, and hopefully there's lots of teenagers growing up right now, kids in elementary school, people our age, whatever. And this is Auburn basketball to them. And forever, if we can keep it rolling, this is what Auburn basketball will be for them. Not the Tony Barbee days, not the Jeff Lebo days. This will be what they think of when they think of Auburn basketball.
This is it. And a Bruce Pearl team scores points. It may not always be the prettiest offense. It may not always be the most effective thing, but this team is scoring points. They're in the top. I think they're one of 5 SEC teams scoring 80 a game. Another may not be 100 like you wanted, but it's 88. And we're scoring in a lot of various ways, and the depth continues to show through. We've got some stars on this team, and their offensive efficiency. Now we fell into some fool's gold with taking. I think we got way too happy on forcing them. This team's magic has been the assists, the moving the ball, sharing the ball, taking the open threes. We want all the open threes we can get, but producing those, we kind of got away from. When everybody's hitting threes, it's just human nature. You just start, okay, like I'm taking one that's a little.
Trey took a long NBA 3, and then right just a little bit later, Denver took a long NBA 3, and then just you look up, and if Penn's hitting a 3 or hitting something down low, the vibes get off a little bit.
We shot 34% from 3 the way we shot in the first half. I mean, I don't know what that percentage was in the second half, but it was not good.
Which fans, if you guys have stats, like a place that you love to look for stats, let us know. I know Matt has his own stats he looks up, but like sometimes there's things like that. I want to know second half stats. I want to know particular players' second half stats. I want to know all these things. But it's not easy to find that kind of stuff unless you pay for it, I guess.
Here's how you know we have a great team, though. I was getting frustrated. Okay, great. I might take that back. I want to see us play some SEC teams, but the fact that I felt like we got very sloppy at times, and I felt like Chaney had a really dumb right after a 3-pointer, not like stepping over the line to throw the ball in. And there's all these little, there were a couple that really just annoyed me. We had 6 turnovers, Jackson. I mean,
that's it, really. It felt like we had more than that. They had their hands kind of in our lanes and tipped a couple balls. Oh, wow. I guess a lot of 50-50 balls went Penn's way. They got some rebounds, I know.
19 assists, 6 turnovers. Ben's going to judge me because he always points out that I love that. But it's so true. I mean, and to be in the top 10 of assists per game in the country or something close to that is really remarkable and it's so different. They showed a graphic tonight of like Auburn's finish in assists per game in the last 6 or 7 years, including the Final Four team. And it was the highest we've been is 60th or 70th in the country. This
100th the year of the Final 14, which was
right.
surprising. Maybe that's some transition point stuff. There was a lot of steals and transition points and transition threes and things that didn't come off assists, but still, that was interesting to see that we've never done what we're doing right now. It's like so cool to see Bruce in his 10th year winning in a new way, and it feels like we're really. Yeah, that's all you want going in the SEC play, right? Is going on and like kind of momentum. We lost that App State game a while back, but 2 games in a row, we've blown our opponent out. It feels not even two, several, lots of games in a row. We've been blowing our guys. It's been a pretty decent schedule too. We were talking about the assist there, where I was surprised by that we didn't turn the ball over more than that. I guess they ended up with a decent amount of 50-50 balls. They won the offensive rebounding battle 12-11, and we won the rebounding battle total only 37-35. You would think against a team like Penn, we would have dominated the boards a little more. So that might be some of my feeling of like we lost balls here and there. We got a lot of people in the chat. I love having the new chat with YouTube here. Tony Barnhart said Bowman was an Ivy League Player of the Year at Penn. That's the kind of stuff I love seeing in the chat. We get to learn along with you guys. Canoe Man's in. Pocky Watch is in. Chris Thomas said War Eagle solid win. Love this. Love the way this team plays. Let's keep the momentum into conference play. Love that. We were talking about on the pod recently how much fun we're having. Ryan's in the chat. Ben's in the chat. People are sleepy. It's another late night game in New York. I think we talked about that already. If we want to get into MVP here real quick, on Reddit, I've been putting on Reddit also asking people who they think their MVP is. I think it's an easier one tonight for sure. AU Bear says Jonai, love the chaos line of KD and CBM through 4 honorable mentions. I agree. There's several players that had several moments. Ribs and Whiskey said Mr. Double Double, Jonai Broom, much protection, 9-8-50. How can you not give it to the double double man, Jonai Broom? I think the people are onto something, Matt.
Yeah, we're just going to have this battle all year of like, do we take Janai for granted or do we acknowledge that he's our best player? And even against a team like Penn, like he does so many things on both ends of the floor that, you know, you take for granted his double-digit rebounds. That's hard to do in college basketball consistently on a night in, night out basis. His offensive game continues to, it cracks me up every time you wonder if this 3 experiment is over. It's never over in the Bruce Pearl offense. It doesn't matter if he misses 15 in a row. He's still going to get to shoot some because that's what we do. So it's not going to end. He clearly can hit it. And we love honestly, he almost was as good as Jalen in the last game. He did miss 1 shot. But Janai's a great player, and he clearly is our leader from he's our best player on both ends of the floor when you take everything into account. So I would imagine if we have a good year this year, there's going to be a lot of nights where we're debating, look, Denver was great. Denver showed some flashes tonight. Chad Baker-Mazara probably had the key stretch in the second half when things got a little dicey off the bench, like hitting a couple shots. And he continues to impress. Can't wait to see him in league play to see how that translates. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty short discussion. Janai was terrific, and he is just, man. Sometimes I think we overfocus on these things in the off season, but how big a deal was it for him to go through the process? And all these big guys aren't getting drafted in the NBA, and for our coaching staff and the NIL team and everything else that went into that to get him back for another year, you see that he showed out in the combine. He really impressed people. And man, it is just such an awesome thing for us to have him on this team.
I mean, this is why we love college basketball. A player that comes back like this and gets better, a guy that you get used to last year, go through some struggles on a team that's not as good and come back on the team and make something, take that next step. And tonight, I love that you brought it up. Twofold. If we take him for granted earlier in the game, we were texting maybe with 10 minutes left in the second half that it's kind of up in the air who the MVP is, but that's only because you're right. Cause we're taking Jonai for granted a little bit that he's playing so freaking well. 3 of 4 from 3. I was so ready to come in because I've been saying that at a conference that for me personally, his 3 experiment, it started so strong. He hit 2 in the first game. The announcer said it is the first time he's hit more than 1 in a game since then. I was so excited. That's what the NBA people told him to do. He needed to work on his 3. Oh my gosh, this guy's got great offensive skills down low, a good defensive player. He's hitting 3s now. Oh my God, we have a real star at center. And then it just kind of fell off hard. I think over 50 missed 3s in a row or something like that, right? Not 50, 30.
15.
How much?
25.
25.
1-5.
Well, either way, he missed a good amount, about 1 every game, pretty much, now that I think about it. But yeah, 3 of 4 tonight. I think he started 3 of 3, right? I don't know when that miss was. Was that near the end? Did I miss that?
It was early. I think he made his first two early and then missed one and then made a third one late.
Okay, I must have missed that other one. Anyways, he went 8 of 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from three, 12 rebounds, 2 assists. That yeah, I mean, just another great all around game. If he can keep that going, I'll be curious if he can keep that, like what the difference was tonight, where he just looked so fluid from his three and just couldn't have him before. So he'll be back to shooting him a lot. I think at least one or two a game now in the SEC play. I think before that, if he had not made one tonight, there had to have been a little tightening up of the leash, in my opinion. I know in the Bruce Pearl offense, everybody always shoots threes, but Cardwell doesn't shoot threes for a reason. I'm just curious. We'll
Okay.
see when the leash gets pulled back a little bit.
Shoot. Like there's a difference, and we
Hey,
can't.
when you miss one every game
Uh,
since
it's not the same thing. You can't watch Cardwell shoot and watch Janai shoot and call it the same thing. And we're doing. Ben's talked a lot about the 5-out offense, and it's true. Penn clearly wanted Auburn to shoot a lot of threes tonight, and it looked dumb early because we were hitting everything. And then over the course of the game, we got a little because they know they can't match up with us. If we had put our heads down and gone to the rim, that is not what Penn wants, right? Like they didn't want to foul us all the time, get in foul trouble. So we kind of played into their hands a little bit. But kudos to so it's all that to say, Janai's going to have that shot pretty much all year. Like I can't imagine many teams are going to choose to focus on him out there. They're going to kind of say,
early and out of conference, they did start pushing up a little more on. They weren't just giving him a free three anymore. And then later on, they started coming back off. So we're curious if he'll start coming back on me. That's all you need. I don't need him doing what he did tonight and hitting 3 threes. Just hit one a game. So they have to come up on him. And you've seen the skills. He can drive it in there too. He had a great drive today. We went all the way across the baseline, threw it up with this left hand. That was just so nice to watch. Like, oh, the skills we have at that center position right now.
and perhaps the biggest thing against their center was probably their best. Penn's best player was out. So I think we need to acknowledge that Penn's a dangerous team. I think they had a top 25 win earlier this year. I meant to look up who it was against, but they beat somebody who was ranked.
Villanova, I believe, right?
I think you're right. So their center was kind of the point person of their offense. And you would see sometimes he would kind of dribble it into the post and take his time, kind of an old school kind of player. How about Brew having one foul in 28 minutes guarding that guy? And
Especially when Cardwell ended up with 4 the majority of the game. That was strange.
right.
Of all the games, we it's another praise. We've stayed out of foul trouble for the most part in every game. It'll be really interesting to see come SEC play. First game in Fayetteville against Arkansas. I think those whistles from the SEC refs are going to really wake us up.
Yeah, get ready. I mean, it's gonna be really interesting to see.
It's gonna be a bit of a whiplash, I believe, in the like officiating and the crowd and how we're shooting. It'll be a little PTSD flashback to App State. I'll be curious if our defense. I don't know. We don't need to talk SEC yet. I'm hoping we do an SEC preview on Thursday. No promises, but that's the plan right now. I think we can officially crown Janai Broome MVP 2 weeks in a row here. He's probably leading by a lot in MVP right now. But an interesting player in second place in points, I believe, right, is Chad Baker-Mazara, my guy that I've been watching like a hawk at all times. He's a good player out there. I was texting. He played at Duquesne, then San Diego State, then JUCO. No, Auburn. That's 4 years. Luckily, we were doing the math in our chat, and he's got that COVID year. So I'm hoping he can be back for another year because you're watching him grow a lot, even in out of conference play right now. His jump shot's just so smooth. He didn't get his usual jump shot foul tonight, but he did get to the free throw line several times. He ended up, where did he do? 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Ben's happy with the 5 or 6 from the free throw line, even though one of those misses was off a weird tech that was during another guy's free throw possession. But man, 1 of 3 from 3. He keeps hitting threes now, which is good. I'd hope he hit a couple more. That was like his thing coming in. But man, great player right now, especially off the bench.
Oh yeah, no, he's a great sixth man, and Ben made again. I'm just going to sing Ben's praises. I love having a guy that can score off the bench, and it will be fascinating to pick up on what y'all talked about last episode. Do you keep starting Chris Moore every half? Probably. If I know Bruce, probably. Do you keep playing Leor some of the minutes that could be going to Chad? Maybe not, but we're going to find out here in the next few games like what that's going to look like. I was probably down on him more than anybody, and it wasn't because I was down on him. It's just the dude he was kind of an off the bench guy for San Diego State on a good team, but then he's at JUCO and he's really small, like he's thin, and that's my fear is more getting bullied at that three position as we start playing some real high level athletes. Even tonight, like there's some breakdowns on defense. He hustled. He's playing really hard. I really like his intangibles. Him and KD have feed off each other. They're kind of both a little nuts out there, and but overall he is better than I thought. I'm just holding out just a little reservation of like, can he be an Allen Flanigan reliable level again in an 18 game SEC schedule? Can he do that? Even if he's only playing 15 or 20 minutes a game, if he can, and if he can play this well and hit those kind of shots and draw those fouls, I mean, that is a huge thing for this team, like you've been saying all year.
I think the key's got that amazing jump shot right now. I think the key is for him to either start finishing more efficiently from three or start going to the basket more and getting those fouls, which I think that seems to be what he's aiming at more right now, even though coming into the year, people were talking about his 3-point shot. Yeah, everybody was talking. He was kind of not a emergency grab, but it was a strange one. We kind of looked up and Flanigan left, and we didn't really get a start three like we were hoping. I think we wanted like Julian Phillips at Tennessee or some of these other bigger guys, and I was very disappointed when we picked him up that we didn't go out there and get that start three after some frustrating years with Flanigan. Flanigan was a good player, but he got pretty inefficient at times. It kind of got a little toxic at times. So it's fun to watch somebody efficient like this. I believe someone in the chat brought up the KD CBM backup lineup with Card with a lot of energy, so much energy from those depth players when they come and they do a full transfer. It's like Cheney, Cardwell, CBM, KD, and Trey. What an amazing backup lineup. Like none of those guys are like amazing, but all together, that's a great depth lineup that comes out there and they bring a ton of energy. And in this game, we came out weird in the beginning of the second half. Penn started chiseling down that lead all the way down to 9 from 20, I believe, at one point. And luckily, KD had his psycho moment. He senses the blood in the water when the team is a little listless and not like bringing the aggression they need to bring. And he stole a ball from their center at the 3-point line, went and finished it, which is not always something he does, and then did it again on the next one on transition, finished through contact. That really got us going. And then I believe right after that, CBM started getting us going and hitting shots. Or maybe it was before that, Matt saying, yeah, CBM might have started. Either way, there was a combo of those two that took this game from something weird to back to where we needed to be. And that's what you want out of your depth lineup.
If you've watched any basketball at all in the tournament over the years or in these things, you know these kind of teams are terrible. Jackson, you've been talking about it for weeks. Like, look out for this team. They can hit threes. They cut a lot. Ryan was at the game talking about how they're moving without the ball. They do all those gritty. They stole the ball from Broome a couple times in the first half, and they're just with sneaky Ivy League smarts, and they're just going to play really hard. And if you can get a team like Auburn to relax just a little bit and not exert their athleticism on the game, like you can get in trouble real fast. And that lead did go down quickly. Credit to those guys. And again, that's a great thing for Chad Baker-Mazara. Like that's got to be a big confidence builder for him playing at this level on this team with a lot of good players. Like you were kind of the guy that was on the floor to clean up that mess. And I don't remember a Bruce team ever. This is like 5 games now in this non-conference schedule where we're not just playing our depth as part of our rotations. There's times where we're like, no, we're putting all 5 backups on the floor. And I don't remember Bruce ever really doing that previously. And today it was out of anger. He was really mad at the starters, the way they started in the second half. But I remember being at the Indiana game and both halves turned when not some of the subs were in, not Chad Baker-Mazara hitting shots, not Katie Johnson doing something. All 5 of them are on the floor together. Maybe they're not all inserted at the same time, but you have these series of possessions where they're all on the floor. And I'm struggling to remember any college basketball team that could do that, play their 6 through 10 guys at times, in a lot of halves, and be not only productive, but like turn games and like extend the lead and play with an intensity that that depth allows. It's just a really special thing, and I hope that's going to be an advantage for us as the season continues.
41 bench points. Starters scored 47. Amazing. No drop off to the second team, really, at least not from a point standpoint like that, which is just super fun. Like for a team like Penn, they're just not going to have that depth. And honestly, a lot of SEC teams aren't going to have that depth. We won't be able to, over a long game, outrun a lot of those teams. They will still have good enough players that can play long enough minutes, but hopefully late in the SEC, you'll see more teams that are tired. Joe Nye played a decent amount of minutes tonight, 28, because Cardwell was in trouble. It would have been nice to rest Joe Nye a little more, but it's nice to also have him hitting those threes, so I'll take it. We were talking about CBM maybe taking that starting role. Like you said, I doubt it's going to happen unless Chris Moore gets an ankle or a shoulder or something like that. But he's played 20 minutes this game to Chris Moore's 15, and Lior played 5. So he's still playing more minutes, and that's what we talk about. It's less about who starts and more about who finishes and who plays more. I mean, how many close games have we had? App State,
Great
Baylor,
point. None. Great point.
yeah.
I could not believe this. I'm trusting SEC Network stats here, which is always risky, but all 11 of our wins, I believe we're 11-2, right? All 11 of our wins have been by 15 plus.
Wow.
So the big question mark going into the next part of the season is, I think we know who we are. I think we know who our pieces are. But how's this team going to react? They blew a lead against Baylor in the opener. They didn't play well. They were in a close game and they came up short against App State on the road. Like, this is the opposite of maybe you go back to that Samir Dowdy team that was always in these close games, and they kind of built this scar tissue of like, we know how to come through late. Now this team's got 18 games to learn and to prove that they can do that in a lot of closer games. But you're right, like that's a fascinating piece. This team has learned a lot. I think they've grown a lot. They're playing well together. They have a lot of confidence. The chemistry's great. But how do you react when you get hit in the face this Saturday at Arkansas? And then moving forward after that. That's going to be, I can't wait to see us in some close games, to see who's on the floor. And then it's great to have all these options, right? And we have so many weapons, but where's that ball sitting? It's been in Wendell
Mm-hmm.
Green's hands a lot the last 2 years. Where's that ball going to land when the crunch time possessions on offense start?
Yeah, I know. I think I've talked you a little bit more in the last couple of years into this roles idea that a team with this much depth, you kind of need to know who you are and what you're expected of you, or it gets a little chaotic in some of these tight games. And I wanted to say before you start bringing up this point about the close games that we've kind of figured out our roles here. We've got these depth guys that come in full squad of 5. It's kind of like our goon squad. They're going to play hard defense. They're going to cause turnovers. They're going to run fast. They're going to bring energy. We know Broom's our best scorer and our best player down low. We know Denver's going to hit threes. We know Aiden's going to take some threes and make some great passes. We know Jalen's going to let the ball come to him. He's going to play all over the court. But right, it's near the end of the game that it's going to get a little weird. If we need a tough 2 or 3 or 4 points, who are we passing the ball to? Who are we working it to? And right now, I think there might be several players on the team that, I don't know. Joe Nye's probably got to still be the guy, but I think we could talk about Aiden a little bit. 3 points tonight. He started so strong at a conference, scoring wise, that we kind of expected, oh man, 5-star freshman, he's doing the same. He's still playing great from a point guard perspective. 6 assists tonight, 19 minutes, but he's 1 of 5 from 3. That's all he took. He didn't drive the ball. 1 rebound, 3 points. It's not the offense is not looking super great right now, but he's still shooting a decent amount. 5 shots, like I said. So I'll be really curious if he keeps shooting the way he's shooting now.
Yeah, I continue to be impressed with his ability to share the ball at a high level with his experience. He's getting better defensively. I think he's getting more comfortable. That hit all the new guys. That's the thing to watch. If you're like paying attention, like watch Chaney, watch Chad Baker-Mazaro, watch Aiden and Denver starting Saturday. Like, can they, and not on offense? Can they defend? Can they defend within their role at their position consistently, like against SEC level athletes? But Aiden's doing a great job. Aiden's fine. Like, Aiden's going to take those pull up threes. I'm fine. I would love for him to shoot 4 or 5 threes a game. I have no problem with it. And tonight's a great example. People give Jalen a hard time for not asserting himself, not being aggressive. And that is true sometimes. I'm on record of saying that. But on a team with 11 guys or 10 guys playing 16 plus minutes, there's one ball. So there's a lot of nights where Aiden is going to be the focal point. We've seen that all throughout the non-conference. He can score in bunches. He can hit threes. He can get to the lane. He can score. He can pass. But then there's going to be nights like tonight where he didn't take a shot for the first 10 or 15 minutes of this game, and that's okay.
I believe his first 3-point shot was an air ball or some sort of weird. It didn't look. I think he said it was tipped, maybe, or he was claiming it was, and it looked. I don't know. We'll
That's
see.
what you do when you
But
airball a shot that badly. So, oh, it was tipped. Come on.
you just hope he can keep growing. I mean, that's like what we're gonna hope for this team is that they're peaking at the right time in March. I mean, that's what you hope for every team. I don't know if this team can compete for the SEC. They'll compete for the SEC. I just don't. It's not a team like the Walker and Jabari year where early in the SEC, I think we're gonna be like, let's win at all costs. don't tinker anything. We're hunting for a ring right now. I think it's going to be let's adjust some things. Let's learn by the end of March. I mean, there's 3 top 10 teams right now. I know Kentucky and Tennessee are at least top 10. You got Ole Miss ranked. So I think well we keep I keep getting the SEC preview territory here, but it's tough when you're done with that at conference.
Well, I think that's where we're at. I think it's okay. This game, we shot well in the first half. We built a 20-point lead. We held on. I mean, like, we can talk about more of the players, but I do think it's more interesting to think about these big storylines. And I disagree with you. Like, I think Bruce, if I know Bruce Pearl, like I think I know Bruce Pearl from our, friend of the pod, um, I think with where he's sitting with this group, that they just now barely got ranked, and they are a top 15 net team. I believe they're still a top 10, top 15 Ken Palm team in the country. And we are not being talked about that, and we are being completely overlooked in any SEC predictions and ranking. I guarantee you. Now, Bruce will still like be trying to peak in March, but I guarantee you he's talking to his team about winning a championship starting Saturday. And if you go into Arkansas and you win, you get a huge leg up on that race to win on the road in that building and build on that. I just think that's where they're going to be focused for the next couple months until unless you're 6-6 in league play and you're fighting on the bubble to make the tournament, then you shift your goals.
The chat is growing, guys. People are celebrating in the chat with each game. We've had more and more people in here. Tony Bardhart says an underrated aspect of this team that Jackson will love. CBM Spanish trash talking really gets under the team's skin. Love that. There was a weird moment tonight with the free throw line where there's a weird bump and then there was some tech free throws and things. But yeah, they keep every once in a while they're referencing his Dominican roots, I believe, with some Spanish. So I'll be on the lookout for that. The better the teams are, the more we end up learning about these players, I feel like, because they get a little more attention from the media and you learn little aspects. I'm hoping we're good enough to where we keep learning little bits and pieces like that. Canoe Man says, CBM is an awesome dude. Seriously, so nice. However, you can see the Dominican fire came out in him on the court, and it is perfect. This team has got fire. And I mean, maybe it's because it's led by Bruce Pearl, who's one of the most fiery guys out there. Bruce is a perfect kind of guy. Charles Barkley's a little bit this way too. The kind of guy that when he's on your team, you absolutely love him, and the other teams absolutely hate them, but they don't hate them for any legitimate reasons. They hate them because of the fire, the intensity, how much they want it, and that's exactly who you want as your coach. I'll pass up a respectable guy every time for like people that irrationally hate your coach because they're good and they're passionate.
Absolutely. And I think the key is like what like I just you mentioned in the last episode, don't take for granted the wins, but you know how you win all these non-conference home games? By showing up to play basketball every night. And Bruce's teams, that's why it's so dramatic in the start of the second half when his teams are not flying around getting loose balls, when they're not closing out to shooters, when they're not out being aggressive, going to the rim on offense and trying to get out and run. It's very visible because we're so used to seeing this team. They may not win, they may not have the most talent, they may not have the most NBA players, but they're gonna work, and that's a staple of his teams. And I think we it's easy to take that for granted, but we shouldn't. And these guys play their tails off. I've been really impressed this year with the overall effort, night in and night out. Sure, there's going to be possessions that don't look great, and there's going to be times where it looks a little lethargic and dead. But like they're 18 to 22-year-olds, like I think overall we are really well equipped to give like a ton of effort the way we want to play as we enter this next phase of the season.
One interesting thing that I kind of think we've missed in recruiting. I know we got a 5-star freshman, Aiden Holloway, but I always look for having a guy like a Chumo Kiki or Jabari Smith. I know you can't have those every time or whatever. Isaac, a kind of guy that's got that NBA athletic ability, because we're going to go up against that. The kind of guy that you can grow into a guy that if you got him the ball, no one is going to keep up with him from an athletic standpoint. We don't quite have that guy on there, but we're hoping maybe this depth pushes people. Like it was kind of like working my way up to that. Like we have that depth, and each player behind the player is going to bring so much passion that you better play all out at all times, or Bruce will take a timeout and put the entire backup lineup in, and that's what happened again tonight. So that's going to happen in SEC play too. I just wonder if there'll be moments. I'm sure there always is this way. You can't have everything in life, but I will have some moments probably where we're like, well, that's cool that our starters are not that much better than our depth and that we can do that anytime. But it'd be nice if we had one guy that's just so much better than everybody else on this team that we couldn't do that,
Yeah, and that's fair. I just think basketball's weird, and when you go back to that Jabari year, everybody kind of faded towards the end, and Jabari was peaking. And how did that look? It wasn't great. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a team that could compete and win. So be careful what you
Uh,
wish.
Philip Hudson says, War Eagle guys, love the show. Thanks, Philip. We love the chat in here. It's been a lot of fun to have somewhere to celebrate afterwards. I've got the SEC schedule pulled up here. You were talking about that Bruce is probably in the ear of these guys now saying championship. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but I mean, it'd be very Bruce Pearl to be getting them ready for a situation like that. We play in Fayetteville in our first SEC game. Brutal, but if we pull it off, huge
Mhm.
momentum and
Mhm.
really turns on the head the narrative of this Auburn team nationally. I think we're 25 right now in the AP poll. We barely snuck in after we thought we'd be ranked 2 weeks in a row. But you do that, and I think it's undeniable. And we start moving up those polls quickly. Then we got Texas A&M at home. Man, Buzz freaking
They're good.
Williams has had our number. Holy crap! Over the last couple years, so that's at home in Oval Arena. So I want to be like, and I know they were darlings coming into the year, but they're not ranked anymore. They have not been great this year, I don't believe. But it's Buzz Williams. I'm holding my breath. I don't know how to like get that in people's heads. He's the new Kermit Davis for us that used to be at Ole Miss that just has Bruce's number. I mean, because they're better talented wise. Matt's giving me his look, but they're better talented wise than Ole Miss teams
They
were. So
beat
it's
us.
weird that Kermit
Ole
Davis
Miss
can do it.
just played it. Kermit just bothered us.
Yeah.
Buzz has beaten us a lot, and I think people need to be realistic. Like obviously, you have the road home split. I mean, I just want to get one. I want to get one of those two. Get out of that 1-1. If we get 2-0, great, and then we could hopefully handle LSU and Vanderbilt the next two. And then we get, Ole Miss all of a sudden is a big fun game. If Ole Miss turns out to be legit through their first four conference games, that'll be fun with Flanagan's coming back. And then we are at Alabama. So a lot to watch these first 3 weeks for sure.
We've got an away game and then 4 home games in a row. And it may not look like that from the schedule wise. It might look like we're playing a away game in Nashville, but I guarantee that's going to be a home game. Shout out Nashville Auburn Club. Shout out Matt.
It will. I'm going to be there. I'm excited for that one. It probably won't be as crazy as the Saturday game in terms of a takeover, but I'm hoping there'll be a great crowd for that.
Yeah, I don't know if that. Yeah, last year they got the bridge with the color. I mean, you would have thought it was like a national title game in Nashville the way the Auburn club got it going last time. So hopefully, and we lost. I can't believe we lost that game. The weird part about that Vanderbilt one is you can have the best crowd, but they're still gonna have that wonky floor that's off the ground a bit. I think everybody that's been paying attention during the Bruce years knows about that. But if you're kind of newish to it, they have this wonky raised up floor that gets me every single time.
It's weird. It's a weird place.
And you're gonna be there.
I'm going to be there.
All right. Any other games you're gonna be at in Auburn or anything? You think?
TBD. We'll see. But I'm definitely at the Vanderbilt game, and then I think we play at Tennessee, which for all of us Nashville folks is a couple hours away. But it's on a Wednesday night, I think, or a midweek game. So we'll see about that. But excited to
Yeah,
see.
let us know if, we'll let you guys know on Twitter and Instagram and different things if any of our hosts are over at the games. Ryan is almost always at the games, so take a look out for Ryan at home. Yeah, and Matt will let you know if he's at, especially if you go to the Vanderbilt game in Nashville. There's a huge alumni base there. Let Matt know. Come say hey to him. I love any of these like early games that have any narratives that can help us. That Arkansas revenging in Fayetteville from 2 years ago, where they took us down when we were number one. Texas A&M's just had our number with Buzz Williams in the SEC tournament at home, away, whatever it is. They've had our number, so I'm hoping we can keep motivated with that. LSU might not have a great narrative right now that Will Wade's gone and everything. But then you got Vanderbilt with the crowd from Nashville. You got
We
Ole
lost
Miss.
last year with our crowd, so really we need to win. Like three of those first four are historic bad things for Auburn. At Arkansas has never been kind, and you can talk trash all you want about Arkansas's basketball current history. Auburn has always struggled there. Even Bruce has struggled there. It's been very rare to get a win. And then at Vanderbilt, it's very similar. Even if Vanderbilt's not great, we have struggled there. And then you mentioned Buzz. So, I mean, ideally, Auburn gets out of that first 4-3-1, and we're off to the races. I mean, that would be, I think, in a perfect world, I think that sets us up pretty well. But just be aware that no matter how good we think this team is, it's a good reminder. Winning on the road, remember, it's hard. It's very hard, no matter how good your team is, no matter how bad the place you're going is. You better try to defend home court as best you can, and then try to steal as many on the road as you can, and you really savor each one.
The only one of those first four that's like confident and beat be an issue if we lost. If we lose to the Arkansas or Texas A&M or Vanderbilt, it's kind of like, all right, fine, we can recover from this. It's okay. We lose at home against LSU. That one would hurt,
That
especially
would be
knowing all the other hard games we're going to have the rest of the year.
yeah. But we've seen time and time again. I mean, weird things happen. Like it's 18 games, so who's the best team over 18? I mean, in a lot of ways, it's the best version of who's the best basketball team that season. March Madness gets the attention, but we've talked about how valuable, how much fun have we had in those two SEC championship seasons, tracking it. So obviously, selfishly for our podcasting for ourselves, I would love for us to do enough early to hang in the race and be in the running and keep getting better. Because I think this team is better than anybody realizes nationally and regionally even. And I really hope we get to see that starting at Arkansas on Saturday.
I was just about to be ready to hang up and say if you wanted to look at any more stats real quick, but one person we didn't really talk about a ton was Denver Jones.
Yeah.
12 points, 4-9 from the field, 2 of 7 from three, surprisingly. Two from free throw line, which Ben will love that he was perfect from the free throw line. 12 points, pretty good from Denver. You kind of, if we can get 10 points consistently out of him every game, 2 threes out of him every game, that's pretty good, right?
Oh, it's great. And to double that, how about the two position overall? 25 points.
Oh wow.
Three, because KD had 13 on 7 shots, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, and however many steals he had. KD played a terrific game tonight and continues to just play his role. You talked about roles. KD looks so far that he is the most settled into his role that I've seen him since he got to Auburn. He seems very at peace with it at home. He's doing his thing. Denver, again, it's easy to forget Denver's a really good player. He was a really good scorer. You saw that tonight, some great shots, some tough shots that he made. You know, I'm going to be nervous about all the newcomers until I see them play these first few conference games. But it really, if you had given me what I've seen in non-conference play from all of them, including Denver, I'd be really happy. And I think that's a big reason why this team's been a lot better.
23 minutes from KD, 17 from Denver Jones. Another situation where the backup played more than the starter. Some of that was because of that frustration where we put that second group in, but we might see that more and more. It's KD keeps doing this. Well, let me bring this part up here. KD and Chad Baker-Brazar seem to have, or all the players seem to have their roles. CBM to me in the backup roles is the go-to guy to score in the half court. And KD is the go-to guy that's going to score in transition or kind of keep that energy up. I don't know if you feel that way too. Like we're talking about maybe potentially putting Chris Moore back in the backups and Chad Baker-Brazar in the starters, but you kind of need a guy that can score in the half court in that if you're going to do full 5-player changes. So it's got to be CBM as like the guy that's your go-to guy to get the ball in his hands if we need a score, right?
Well, just imagine if we're going to play a lot of our backups together, do you want Trey, KD, Chris Moore, Cheney, and Dylan on the same?
So I'm saying that's what I think that's where we're solidifying that maybe that's the reason, not because CBM doesn't deserve the starting role, it's because we need him to kind of lead offensively in that role. And maybe KD's the leader on defense and transition on that side, but that you kind of put those combination together and you have a relevant starting lineup that can score, or not starting a backup lineup that can score, which is always an issue if you're going to do full 5 change like that.
Here's when you know you have depth. When you're 1, 2, and 3 positions, I guarantee you in SEC play, there will be games where each of those 6 plays more minutes than the other. Trey will play more than Aiden sometimes when he's on and Aiden's off. Aiden will play more than Trey some. At Denver and KD, I think are going to be the same way. When KD's on and KD has that SEC experience, he's going to play more like he did tonight. Chad Baker and Chris Moore, I could see scenarios where Chris Moore is just a way better perimeter defender than Chad Baker-Mazara is right now at this point in his career. So just don't be shocked. The only positions that we know as things get serious, we know Jalen's going to play the bulk of the minutes at 4, and we know Janai is going to play the bulk of the minutes at 5. But everything else, it can be night to night, which is such a luxury for our coaching staff.
Canoe Man says BP is very vocal about our guards needing to improve, says they are working hard and think they can help. Think they can, however, it has to happen. Yeah, our guards are going to have to step it up at times. College basketball is a very guard heavy sport. Bruce was really worried about their defense before this year. If our guards could play defense, if Denver Joe's could play defense, if CBM's going to get pushed around, if our point guards like Aiden can play defense. Are you cool with their defense right now? I know you're going to be paying attention to the SEC to see if they get really pushed around by the real athletes, but we have played several P5 teams and they've held their own.
I think Katie's been really good. I think Trey's been really good at the front end of that defense, man-to-man at point guard. I think Denver's been better than I thought. I think Chad Baker-Mazara has been better. He's trying hard, which is half the battle. Chris is a good defender. I'm still a little nervous about Aiden and Chad Baker-Mazara from a physical. They're just small. They're just small guys that can get pushed around by bigger guard
Do we
perimeter
have a
guys.
guy on this
Not
team?
taller, but
Yeah.
stronger, bigger.
We saw some really frustrating possessions last year, and I believe even the year before, where teams worked the ball around to get someone on Wendell and back him in there. And it didn't work a lot of times, actually, but it was still frustrating to watch them be able to do that against us, playing a kind of like ISO ball, NBA style, moving it around to find the weakness, which a lot of several college basketball teams can't do. But I'm curious if we have a guy like that this year, if they're going to try to get it on somebody like a bigger player on CBM to back him down or on Aiden. I don't know. I don't think they're
Let
as
me tell
bad
you
as
what.
Wendell.
Let me tell you what's going to happen when Ole Miss visits Auburn. Flanagan is going to try to isolate and nuke Chad Baker-Mazara when he's on the floor, and he is a lot more of a physical specimen. And I do worry about that matchup. Now that could
And
work.
he's not going to charge anybody. I know I'm like a broken record here, but game
Jalen took a
changer.
charge. Jalen took a charge today.
The rare charge being gotten there. Yeah. I mean, that would if this was last year, everybody be KD would be scooting over on Allen over and over again until he was just absolutely losing it. But it's not gonna happen this year because the new rules. So I'll be really curious to see what Flanagan does. It'll be frustrating if
Here,
Flanagan comes in and scores 30 on us.
I have a stat question for you. You ready? We've talked a lot about 3-point shooting. We'll talk more maybe as a team in our preview, but I want you to tell me through at non-conference our top 5 3-point percentage shooters on this team.
Oh, it's so hard because sometimes it's like the lowest volume guys that Chris Moore was leading us percentage wise.
I can tell you that nobody in the top 5 will be weird like that.
Okay. Top five.
There,
Denver
well, here,
Jones.
let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. There's 5 guys shooting over our 33% clip.
Okay. Denver Jones.
Denver Jones is 5th at 35.6%.
Jalen Williams.
2nd at 37.5%.
I'm gonna throw a weird one in here and hope I'm right. KD Johnson.
6th,
Ah.
31.6.
Chad Baker Mazara.
36.4. He's 4th.
And Trey.
Trey is number 1 at 40%.
Wow, really? Not shooting a ton of volume, I assume.
I mean, he shot as many as Jalen and Chad Baker-Mazara.
And then who's last here?
You're missing the star,
Jonai Broom?
Aiden Holloway.
Aiden Holloway is still shooting above 33%.
36.6.
Wow, still he's had a couple of inefficient nights recently, so it must have been some really efficient nights earlier in the year.
And just to we only have 3 guys averaging double figures, which just goes to show you with depth how hard it is to score consistently. But Janai's at 15.8, Jalen's at 11.5, and Aiden's at 10.5.
Well, Aiden's still up there too. Wow, okay.
Aiden's
That's
had some
interesting.
25-point nights and some big nights.
Yeah, that's put some things in perspective, honestly, because it's just he's on a little bit of a slump, I guess, right now, or you can really feel it when he's not efficient. So
How about our top guy, Janai Broom, only averaging 23 minutes a game so far, which is
love
just
it. Love
terrific,
it.
terrific for the home stretch. Everybody should be fresh.
Bad night for Cardwell tonight, but shout out to him in general for being capable and being a good backup center that could be a starter on like some bad SEC teams, or especially a starter on some smaller mid-major teams. So glad he stuck around. Luckily, he's the kind of guy that we love in college basketball that gets it and rather be a part of a fun team like this than try to be the man at some lower level team. So any other stats you got over there, Mr. Statman? I think people miss your basketball IQ and your deep knowledge here.
No, just it's cool. Again, top 20 nationally, offensive and defensive efficiency. We're one of only a few teams in the country that can say that at this point. All of our stuff is, we're going to find out real quick. I mean, we're going to find out in the next couple weeks how legit some of these numbers are. We think this team's a lot of fun to watch. They're high flying. They are better shooters. I don't care if we end up only shooting 1 or 2% better this year from 3, which is possible. It just feels like they're going in more. And sometimes in basketball, you just need some capable, and it is spacing the floor so much better. It's leading to those assists. It's leading to Janai Broom having better opportunities inside. I totally agree with you, by the way. We forced it to Janai last year because we had no other good options midway through SEC play. So the hold your breath moment for this coaching staff now is like, we feel like we have 11 guys who can play 10 and a half. And can we hold up? Can we go into Arkansas and compete and come out with a win? And can we go to Vanderbilt and can we beat an A&M team that's given us trouble? And can we beat an Alabama team that's pretty good and dangerous, and an Ole Miss team that's been hot? So we're about to find out. I think this team. I was the lowest on this team to start the year. I think of the four hosts. I'm really optimistic, and I think this team's a lot of fun to watch. And I've seen a lot of good things. I think everybody forgets at this time of year, like, oh yeah, we got to play 18 SEC
I,
teams now, and it's
I
just different.
I think the question will be, can we win slow and can we win away at
Yep.
this and both at the same time? That would be really be the difference between a team that's fine, a number five seed in the SEC tournament, that's a 7-6-5, whatever in the NCAA tournament versus someone that's really competing for the SEC. If we can go like playing slow in half court and not hitting a lot of threes against a good top 10 team like Kentucky or Tennessee, something like that, okay, we're just not going to win. Probably that's fine. But doing it against a crappier team at Vanderbilt or at Mississippi State or something like that, those are the slow and not hitting our shots that we're still going to have to win to be a good competing SEC team.
Does this team have the guts to win games in the 60s?
Yeah.
If we're not hitting shots, if the offense is ugly, you remember watching that Florida game last year to start SEC play when you were in Nashville? How ugly that was with that team, and it was kind of a wake up call for us last year. Like, oh,
Can,
sound the alarms a little bit. I don't think that'll happen with this team,
like
but when
who's gonna go get us those tough points?
yeah,
Like Broom can probably go get us some tough points, but he might be the only one I feel confident right now that's like, yeah, he's gonna go get the tough ones.
yeah, and all of our new guys are going to have to prove that they can be a part of a meaningful rotation. The good news is Jalen's proven over the years he can be a really good SEC player. KD's proven that he can hit big shots, make big shots, and willing to take big shots. And I think within his role, he can be really good. Trey was really good in the NCAA tournament last year in neutral site. Chris Moore is what he is. Cardwell's proven he can play in the SEC. So we have a lot of proven guys. To me, the ceiling, I totally agree with you. Can Auburn win when it's ugly, when it's slow, when the shots aren't falling? Can we win away is always the question every year. And maybe the bigger question is, how do our four newcomers handle what's about to happen? And can they raise our ceiling, whether you think that's Chad Baker-Mazar or Aiden Holloway shooting or Chaney giving some meaningful minutes and scoring some, or Denver. Can Denver be a double-digit
Yeah,
score?
I'll be curious. I would have loved to have seen a star Denver game and at a conference even against a bad team. Chris Thomas said, I hope Denver finds the right shot selection. He makes some great shots and then takes some ugly off balance shots. I want him to shoot more, but keep it efficient. Totally agree. I kind of wish we had seen at least one at a conference game where he was kind of hunting for a shot or kind of had a star moment where he pump faked a three and drove it in and scored, or dribbled around and got his own shot kind of thing. He just hasn't really done that. We've seen him. I don't know if we're actually doing this on purpose. I think we probably are working to him early on some of
Yeah.
those curl
First
routes,
play of the
right?
game was to him for that opening three. You're right.
Yeah, and he's great off of the bounce there, off the pass, curling, hitting the three. It's great, but it's kind of gotten a little bit of a Jalen effect where it's like we're having to work the ball to get him to shoot. And I'm hoping we can kind of have a moment where it's like, oh dang, Denver's taking over. There's not been a Denver takeover time like
It's
there has
just
been for CBM and KD and Jonai and Jalen.
it's
Everybody else
just
has kind of had a moment.
it's just hard because there's only one ball and everybody's a threat. And honestly, here's the real secret. I think Trey and Aiden are so good with the ball in their hands right now that if you're Bruce Pearl and this staff, you're like, no, we don't want KD handling the ball in the half court. We don't want to be forcing things through him
Yep.
downhill. And I think that it's honestly probably easiest for them to just say, hey, our point guards are playing great. Our big guys are playing great. Two and three guys, take your open shots, and when you have an opportunity to be aggressive, go downhill. But like, you're not gonna have the ball in your hands like you did at Florida International.
You
You're just not going to.
you even wonder if it's because of the lineup he's playing in a little bit with the starters, and we've had
Yeah.
several scores in the starters right now, so he doesn't need to be that. But I just would have thought in 13 games about a conference, right? 13, that he would have had one game where it was like, whoa, Denver took over that one. He's in the MVP discussion. And he might have been in the MVP discussion, but it was never really a threat, I don't think, in any of the games.
And Denver's still quietly like he's the fifth leading scorer on this team per game. So like he's not bad. I mean, he's not
Oh, yeah.
like that, but he's averaging 8 points a
I
game.
just you just got to know too that it's going to take a step down, or at least I assume it's going to take a little. Like that's what you would assume from out of conference SEC play.
Um,
Well,
that was our pod
we were about done anyways.
for the audio. I
We
knew
were
it was
just
getting
going at
close.
that point.
Um,
The classic Matt's computer runs out of recording
classic,
space.
classic.
Whatever. We were getting going anyways on SEC play. We're still live, guys. But yeah, that has happened many times, everyone. That not many times, a
On
couple
my
of
work
times.
computer, and I have this weird hard drive issue, and I always try to clear it out, make sure we have room, but then
I don't know how to even to check that because I mean my computer's not super great. Some ThinkPad, it's not special, you know.
I try to. It's just I'm kind of my hands are tied a little bit because of the work situation. Like I can't really delete like certain things off.
Yeah.
This is nobody cares about this, but my machine is a little like pimped out with analytical tools, and it's just hard to like have the. I need an extra bigger hard drive, but I can't ask for that from work.
Well, we did this last time on live when we had to call people, even post recording here. So maybe we'll stay on for another minute or two and look through some memes potentially. How
Oh
do we
yeah,
go to Penn's memes here? The Penn Quakers. See if they put up the score. Any other thoughts in the chat, guys? It's been fun to have people in the chat to talk to, some fun facts coming in.
go to Penman's basketball. There we
There we
go.
go. You
That's
know this
good.
commercial?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Jones barbecue foot massage. Penn and Teller, I get it. Man, people really, I wonder how long people think about it. I guess they're probably thinking about it at least during the day. They're coming up with their ideas. I love that people have this like creative outlet, you know?
It's all great, man. I've been enjoying like there's still on some of the message boards I've looked at, there's still this call for more basketball content. I think there's so many Auburn fans that I mean, honestly, there have been other people, doing similar things to some of the things we've done, like trying to focus more on basketball, which is great. That's like why we started this podcast.
There's really starting to be more content I'm noticing because
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it myself as a fan, that we started this podcast because we felt like there was a lack of it and now they're starting to become we got beat for the first time this year and getting content out. That was something.
Yeah, it's been great. Like it was fun. I've been out of pocket more and like getting to hear you guys talk. I can see why people enjoy the pod because it is like a fun, quick way to hear about what happened, and I think we do a good job of really engaging with the players. And like I think I've always thought about basketball, the personalities and the players are what makes it fun because they're not wearing helmets, they're not wearing anything. You can get to know, especially this group and a Bruce Pearl coach team. Like they do have a lot of fun. They do play really hard.
Are you a baseball guy, Matt? I don't really pay
No.
attention to the Auburn baseball. Apparently, I guess we lost a Penn in baseball, so people are active about that. That is one great part about college sports too, and what frustrates me so much about the F word too, kind of breaking away and being such a minor league and getting crazy, is that like being an Auburn fan, you're a fan of like you end up a fan of so many random sports too, and you kind of have these weird moments. Like, I mean, there was a
Yep.
baseball like situation a year or two ago where we were going to the World Series for the
World
first time. It was
Series.
fun. It was fun. I
Yep.
don't really care about baseball, but all of a sudden it's like the Olympics for USA Olympics. All of a sudden you're a bobsled fan for a couple days, Like
Yep.
it's just nice all around. No other sport really offers that. I mean, I guess like there is some European stuff like Real Madrid has a basketball team and a soccer team, but like it's just different. Nothing
It's
else like
unique.
it.
Like you've always said, if you try to explain American like college sports to somebody not from America, it's just like the stupidest thing you've ever heard to them.
Yeah.
Like what is this? What is this thing?
Apparently Pocket Watch has been at the Buckies or yeah, there's a Buckies in Auburn now in there. Man, people go nuts for the Buckies. I was not I don't live in the South anymore and I've not experienced this Bucky thing, but people go nuts for it. People are losing their mind about Buckies.
Bucky's will be coming to you. Don't worry.
Okay.
It's true.
Did you hear this broom broom room thing the
Boom.
announcer was saying before halftime?
Yeah, that's that Arkansas Razorback Pat Bradley in the SEC network.
It was the dumbest thing I ever heard.
I will give it. Oh, I did mean to shout out
Love
on the
this.
pod. Dane Bradshaw, who called this game, he was the color guy on. He played for Bruce at Tennessee, and he knows Bruce's team so well. I feel like he had a few really good things he talked about with this group. I kind of forget specifically, but he always does a good job.
Man, I'm all about the culture, as everyone knows on this pod. Kate headband Katie Johnson already knew it, already knew that'd be a thing, just like Bahamas Jay Lind and or Atlanta Jay Lind.
Can I just have 2 minutes on Jalen real quick before
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
Because
We'll have all the minutes you want. The trial of Jalen Williams in the SEC
I
preview.
hope we do it because I mean I'm sitting on mountains of ammunition from
I
all
know, and I'm not gonna have anything to compete with
like
because I don't have any time to look up any stats or like
what
do
like
anything.
what are we doing? What are we doing with Jalen? Like, are we holding Jalen to some like Jabari Smith level expectation? Like, do y'all think he's pros? Like, he's a pro player, and like, I don't know about it. Like, I'm really confused on a team with so many weapons. You need guys who defer and who aren't going to demand the ball all the time and pout and not play defense, which this team hasn't shown yet. But
But
like,
he would have deferred even if he didn't have good players around him. You know, that's
no,
the
he
issue.
led he about led the team in scoring the year we had no talent. So like I just don't really get it. And there was talk of like amongst our group chat, there was talk of, you know, there was a lot of things being said that I'll just, save for ammunition of that. I mean, there's
I love that.
you
This
remember
is
before
such
the
a
season that
this
people
is
were
so
talking about Cheney like taking his spot? Like, what are we
yeah.
doing? What are we doing?
I think that was part of Bruce's thing. I think he was trying to motivate Jalen to be more aggressive and like by like threatening it a little bit, you
No,
know?
he didn't. I mean, he did kind of say that, but
He
like
says stuff like that, yeah.
nobody thought that was real.
Same
Anyway,
with it, the way he's talking about the guards with their defense. I think that's a
yeah,
motivational. I mean, it's real. I think when Bruce says stuff, it's real at the same time, he's also using his motivation. Yeah.
I just, I'm Jalen's a good player on a really
This
good
is so on brand.
winningest player, winningest player in
The
school
fire you're
history.
bringing right now is so on brand.
Yeah, just shooting 37.5% from three, better than Jabari shot at Auburn. Like, no deal. Like,
This is good. Get it all out so I could get my evidence
I, I
in
just
contrary to this.
I just want to know why
So
Jalen
he's
is
gonna that's the first exhibit. 37% from
slandered.
three, better than Jabari.
I don't know if it's better than Jabari. It actually might be a little lower, but
See,
like,
this is what yep.
but
I
let's
would have
just
brought that. I would have said, oh, sir.
like I look, nobody gets more frustrated with Jalen than me sometimes when he doesn't initiate things, but like you just in year five, you just gotta accept. Like he's what you wanted Alan Flanagan to be. Like
No,
he's that
yeah, I bring that up a lot. You've heard that a couple times this
yeah.
year. He's definitely been that for sure. Somebody in the chat said it. Pocket watch. Jalen has potential. That's my thing. Is I feel like there's like this one thing where it's like, oh, if he could just slam into a man and finish through contact, I would just shut my
Which
mouth.
he
You know.
tried to dunk on a white guy.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that because he's done that twice this year now, and he's missed the dunk both times. But I love the aggression. I just feel like if one of those goes in, one dunk through contact from him, and it's going to change things up a bit. You know.
No, he's gonna be the same player he's been for 5 years. Like
Maybe
he's
you're right.
better,
Yeah.
he's gotten better, he's a better shooter. I guess I just get confused. Like the commentary on Jalen is either, oh my gosh, he has so much potential and he's like not living up to it, or it's like, gosh, Jalen's really bad. Like
I
he's
never think he's bad. I just get frustrated when there's like weird lulls in the game, and he might be the guy that you kind of like, man, if his fifth year with the potential he has, this could be a moment where he's like, give me the ball. I'm going to get the point we need. And I just don't think he's never done that. You
he's
know,
SEC player of the week. Like SEC, like he was the best player in the SEC like 3 weeks ago. Like I get
who did
confused.
we play before Chattanooga?
Alabama State.
Yeah. Was that the week he won SEC player of the week?
No, it was
Okay.
Indiana and somebody
Oh yeah,
else.
the zone breaker against Indiana. No,
Yeah,
he's good. No, he's good. He's good.
I
He
don't
can
know.
do that kind of thing. It's just
I
quiet,
would
you know.
just I would just I would like to say that all I've said all along is he's going to help us win games and he's going to be a good player and he's going to be a good teammate and he's going to be in the right spot and he's going to be a good defender and he's going to be fine.
You'll be curious to hear the chat here on this. We got Canoe and Jalen is playing great. He has stepped it up a decent bit. However, still a lot of untapped potential there. Pocket Watch says, I feel like it's all mental with Jalen. Chris Thomas says, I'm less frustrated with Jay Wall on a team like this. When the O struggled last year, it was frustrating to not see him press more. He would go 4 of 6 and be efficient, but we need him to do more.
This
I feel like they're hitting the nail on the head. It's like
that's a great point. This is a great Jalen team because he is going to defer and he know
it
like Bruce
works,
can
yeah.
work the ball to him and he's going to do a lot of the little things and be a good veteran presence on this team and he's the second leading scorer on the team. So like he's he's a really good fit for this kind of roster with a star post. Like a lot of guys wouldn't thrive with a guy like Janai playing and demanding as much attention and part of the game going to him. And then Aiden at point guard. Like it's just but that's what makes him such a valuable player to
No,
me.
it's super valuable but for him to be behind Jabari like he was and be so good and such an amazing backup and be humble about it. And then this year too, it's going to work out well for him. But he at this point, unless he gets weird about it, you're right, he'll never be able to fight that criticism of like, man, he could be wish he would just be the man sometimes, you know? I mean, there'll still be moments he could have done that
Just the
this
winningest
year.
basketball player in program history, Jackson. That's all. That's all he
In
is.
the COVID year, Bruce Pearl, golden age.
He
No
got
one, no one will ever beat it.
he got lucky because he actually stayed somewhere for 5 years and he was on a good program and he got to win a lot of
No,
games. And we have no
exactly.
history.
I mean, it's exactly what I want out of Flanagan. You're right. Winningest player that's like good, but not NBA great, but stuck around and like wins us some games here and there. Like by the end of it, he'll be back 25 years from now. And people are like, yeah, Jalen was a great guy. Great guy. Like it won't be a guy that's got a statue or a banner or whatever. But people that watch are gonna be like, yeah, that guy, just super solid guy. Everybody loves Jalen, you know?
Yeah, man. Helped us win SEC titles. So we love it.
Any other good memes in here before we let everybody go? Just having too much fun. We got 13 people in the chat right now. It's our best. Well, I think we had like 20 briefly at one point in another game, but 13 is pretty great consistently here. So I'm
Especially
hoping,
an hour in, hour plus.
yeah, tell your friends, guys, that we're having fun on the chat. Yeah.
Virtual Tumors Corner.
Yes, thank you. You've been listening.
I've been listening. Virtual
Have
Tumors
we
Corner.
done have we done a Matt and Jackson pod all
No,
year?
no.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, it's
I
terrible.
miss the vibes, you know.
Yeah, this is where it all started, people. This
It's
was
tough though. We got real life going on, you know.
we do. We both have busy 2024s.
2023 is probably the wildest year of my life, if I had to think about it. Yeah.
You just lost to the Auburn. That's funny. Take the ride home to think about it.
You think they flew? They got to fly from Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, for sure. Huh. That's pretty funny. I like that. Quaker Oats.
Like I love that people like come up with this like clearly within the day, you know? Like they're like thinking about this stuff. Like I know some of these are like ones people hold like a
Yeah,
little folder up more, but like all these like Quaker Oats with the Barner on there is, you know.
that's a F ball, F word comment there.
I'm glad even in the live YouTube we're sticking to we don't say that word.
Right. That's right. Basketball podcast, people.
Oh yeah, that was a great three block from
That was
CBM. Just another like example of what he can be. I hope he stays for his COVID year and keeps improving.
yeah, that would be ideal.
I think he can keep improving through SEC play. And I think he could be one of those rare guys that you look through SEC play and he's actually gotten better through SEC play. He's just got that athletic potential.
Hmm.
Maybe on offense, I'm thinking, you know, but you're right.
Well,
Maybe
and I
he's
could be
something to
overplaying
watch.
the defensive concerns. It's just sometimes he just can get so we run this is the late in the chat deep cut stuff here for people still listening. So we
This
run
this is
this
this is the phone calls me and Matt used to have. This is literally just me and Matt on a phone call from back in the day.
we run this cross act. You've probably seen it when we have the ball out of bounds under the baseline. We just run this simple cross screen action where we literally lob it to the center, no matter really what the look is, because we trust Janai or Dylan to get the ball, and it's all for them to get a shot. Like that's what the whole play. It's a simple play, and Chad Baker Bazzara like was in that position because I think Jalen was throwing it in. He had to set the screen on the center for Penn, and Chad Baker Bazzara got screened on his own screen and got like bounced back. Now Janai got, or I think Dylan got it and still finished the play, and it was late in the game. And it really didn't matter. But it's just those little things. And he, sometimes he gets driven on. He had one rebound tonight in 20 minutes. Like, I hope he's
You're
fit.
right. You're right. That does hurt compared to the last couple years with Allen getting a lot of rebounds. So I don't
But we
really.
can't.
You pay attention to that stuff a lot better than I do. I'm a sucker for just following the ball around. You know.
Well, look, we need shooters, right? And he has proven to be. He's a much more consistent threat from the mid range, which you love, and getting fouls, which you love, and from three. Like he's a
You know,
top 5 3-point
he's
shooter.
just been. I'm not a big jump shot guy, and so they say it's the least efficient shot you can have, but he's just so efficient with it. I wonder if it freaks people out too, because like players have gotten so used to you either take it to the hole or you shoot a three, and he's stopping somewhere in the middle, and people don't know what to do with that. You know, it's
For
become
sure.
such a rarity. You know. I'm wondering too. Yeah, I just want to comment about how good. I mean, I made a big long rant about how athletic Cardwell is last podcast and how like he's got something athletically that's really rare, and I hope he like utilizes it somehow in the future, even if it's not basketball. But I was starting to think about like, man, Broom and Cardwell got such good hands. They catch so well. And I think it's because we have this PTSD from the Austin Wiley days where I'm like, do they have such I mean, I think really Cardwell does have that great. I just think he really is an athletic freak. And Broom is a really good center that's got good hands, but I think we got scarred by Austin Wiley. Now, anytime our centers can catch the ball in any kind of odd circumstance, I'm just loving it.
And not just Wiley, but like really every center Auburn had for my lifetime was terrible in the post. Like it was just, and I remember we talked about, Walker was such a freak. Walker wasn't a traditional post on the offensive end. He wasn't a back to the basket, throw it into him kind of guy. We did very rarely. But you remember we talked about when Broom committed and like starting in that last season, like it doesn't take much, but this will be the best post player we've ever had in Bruce's eye, at least in my lifetime,
It's
probably.
been
And
fun to watch.
he's been more than I think any of us could have expected. He's the great example, like you said, of a guy who comes up from a lower level program and like proves he belongs. He's clearly raised his professional stock, like even if it's overseas when he's done at Auburn, he's clearly like gotten the eyeballs on him. He's gotten better. He's gotten in that SEC program of strength and conditioning and exposure and like being with around better athletes. And that's how you hope it works. And I agree with you. I think Chad Baker Mazar has that kind of potential. Um, we just got to see it. I got to see it. And I just like we had to see it with Broom last year, you know.
Is this the part of the VIP experience where we talk about Rob Chubb
Yeah, for
and
sure.
his center experience?
Rob Chubb, honestly,
Deep cut Rob Chubb.
this is how low the bar is. I mean, and no offense to Rob Chubb, like he was a fine player, but like he was decent in the post. Like, he had some moves. He could finish some hook shots. He was dangerous. He could catch the ball okay.
Shout out in the chat if you remember Rob Chubb. Give me some emojis if you're a big Rob Chubb guy like me and Matt are.
I was good friend, not good friends. I knew a guy who played. I guess he was a Lebo guy, I believe. Maybe it was Barbie. I don't remember. But Johnny Lett. Johnny Lett was a big guy who really didn't have a post game at all at this level, but great dude. Shout out to
I
him.
Matt, you've heard this story a bunch of times, but for the YouTube people that are still around, Rob Chubb, my freshman year, I came in and I had the geography class. It was like human geography or something. It was like one of those early freshman classes, like random or whatever. And I get in the first day, and Rob Chubb sits next to me, and I knew who he was because I like basketball, and he's huge, of course. And he came for like the first 2 or 3 days of class, and then he didn't come for like weeks. And like it was like early basketball season, or maybe like right before basketball, like October or something like that. And he hadn't come for many weeks. And then like the night before, you hear Rob Chubb got into a fight with a police officer or something like that. Got arrested at Sky Bar or something happened, some sort of altercation. Next day in class, like an 8 a.m. class, there he is with a black eye, and he never missed another class for the rest of the semester.
Yeah, that got turned around real quick back then.
I wonder if they're still doing the way they used to, at least in business school. By the time I was graduating, all the F ball players would come to the room and they would have like literal people there checking them in. Like they had like they were clearly paying other students to be part of the athletic facility to like stand in front of classes and get the players from the team to sign something before they would go in the room. And about half that time they would come sign the thing and then walk in, wait a minute or two and leave.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if that still goes on, but I'm sure they
I feel
have.
like that was a sign of a certain coach losing control because I don't remember that like my freshman sophomore year, but by junior senior year, I remember like going to some louder big auditorium classes and there was literally always like one person waiting by the door and you knew they were with the athletic program and they were there to make sure the player had signed in that they were going to class.
It's a good story. I have a good. So you are famous for you were like in Auburn when Bruce landed. Was the
Oh
news right?
yeah, I was at the airport
You
at
were
the
at the
jet
airport.
plane. That
Yeah,
was a ton of fun.
I had
Me
moved.
and Trey Donaldson or Trey Donaldson.
Trey
Yeah,
Donald.
Trey. Yeah. And man, that was a lot of fun. I still talk to Trey. Good. I hung out with him in New York recently.
That's cool. I was gonna say I was in Nashville already at the time, but my claim to fame. There's a video on the internet somewhere if you want to sleuth and find it of when Tony Barbee was introduced as Auburn's coach. I was interviewed for the like official Auburn like media report about it and like on video talking about how exciting it was going to be to have the dribble drive offense of Tony Barbee and John Calipari in Kentucky and
There was
how
hope. There was hope.
it was a good hire, or it's just so somewhere on the internet there's video of me just spouting complete nonsense for what would happen the next few weeks.
I mean, there's nothing like those. I mean, I did it for other sports too, but there's nothing like the message board chatter when we're hiring somebody like Bruce Pearl. And oh, I think we hear the private plane's coming in today. It's if you're at the fence at
Yeah.
3 p.m., and you know it's somebody from like the athletic department leaking, whatever, so they can have that moment. But there was a whole bunch of us, and like we were all waiting like on the outside of the fence when he first got. Like first it was like me and Trey just like hanging around. Then more and more people started showing up, and then somebody's like, "You little wizard, oh, where are you? Where do you think it's gonna be? Where should we stand?" Blah blah blah. And then you line up against the fence. Everybody's kind of lined up too deep against the fence. And then for whatever reason, somebody comes by and is like, all right, we'll let all you on the tarmac here, but you'll have to stay on the tarmac. And then they pull in the plane, land. I don't even remember it landing, but I remember the plane like pulling up and Bruce like walking out and like mobbing him. Man, that was a great moment. There's still like some great footage of that for sure. Perfect Bruce moment. Some other coaches might not have been able to like vibe like that, but impromptu like pep rally essentially. Yeah.
This is year 10.
It's crazy, man.
So
We're getting
I think
old.
in the off season, there's got to be a decade celebration, of like,
Well, they're not doing the 98, 99 stuff, so I just don't know if like it's always on the radar of everybody,
I don't
but
know if they do it, but we need to do it. We need
sure, yeah.
the decade Bruce celebration.
This is my Bruce Pearl signed basketball court. It was he did a couple of these weird things because we were so bad at basketball culture or whatever. You probably remember some of the stuff. I think maybe you just graduated or whatever, but he came in, he did the jet thing. I don't know if it was the same day and we all drove over to the athletic department that day. It was the next day. I think it's probably the next day. Like he did like a press conference in Neville Arena, Auburn Arena at the time with a big backdrop and tons of people were there and all the press was there and all that stuff. And then like a week later, he did like a student section, like pep rally, like how to be a basketball fan essentially. And
Mm-hmm.
like I got it at a thrift store. Like how random an Auburn basketball, just like random plaque like this. I brought this with me and got it signed. And then we did like a how to be a student section. Basically, it was like no other school would have to do this but us.
He did
And
though, and
uh,
being able to like acknowledge that and work through it, it's great. I
and
got
then I remember there was a moment at the student section trial. Like we had a president and vice president of the student section or whatever, but like it was like leftovers from the Lebo days or whatever. And they were teaching us some chants or whatever. And you know how I'm a big pep club guy back in high school or whatever. So I was like paying attention. And this one girl was leading it, bless her heart or whatever. But she had this idea that during free throws, everyone should turn their flashlights on their phone and turn their music up on their phone, like wave their flashlights at the free throw shooter. And Bruce was like, that's great. But I think that might be illegal. So we'll talk about that one later. But don't do that one for now. I was
love the
like, how do
effort,
we not? Yeah, I was like, smart. Yeah, that would mess them up. But the reason why no one's doing it is because it's against the rules. Yeah.
man.
Why don't we go laser pointer while we do?
I'm just strengthening my case over here for our trial. So just get ready because it's a pretty
You got portfolios. You
it's
got
a bleak outlook for your side, in my opinion.
okay, all right. And to be fair, I don't know where I stand, but I will be the other person. I'll yell things. Yeah.
You know who has the most assists on this team besides our point guards?
I'm gonna enlist our YouTube chat and our
Jalen Lee.
fans of social media and Reddit and see anybody can send me some ammunition to fight you back here.
Send your anti Jalen ammunition to Jackson over the next few days, and we'll have a good debate. Like everything in life, this is a good life lesson. It's all about your expectations. It's all
Yeah.
about what you expect from someone, whether it lets you down or not.
Same with sports. I'm always about expectations. I have a lot. We're
Yeah,
having fun. I don't know if I said that in the pod during the recording, but that might be our new thing this year. We having fun because I'm having fun. You
yeah,
know.
we're definitely having fun. And I mean, I hope we don't come crashing down to earth the next few weeks and have to like reassess and question all the things we've said in the first 13 podcasts.
Whenever
But
we lose again next first game, second, whatever, we will be having we will be hitting the panic mode.
we,
Every
we
bad
lose
thing.
we lose by 2 on a last second shot to somebody beat like middle of the road SEC. It's like, oh my god.
We lose at home, Texas A&M, and I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna be on the cliff. All
It's
right, man. I think we gave the chat here enough VIP YouTube
VIP.
content, guys. So thanks for coming again. This has been a lot of fun, and like we said, I hope it's like a virtual Tumors Corner, and hopefully it'll be a place everybody can get together after every game. So
Yeah. All right,
cool.
Jackson, before you go, man.
Where we go, Matt.
See y'all.
See ya.